And then he got breathless after a while and he had no words were coming out of his mouth. He was breathing heavily. So he came all the way up to me. He bent all the way down, spoke in my ear, but loud enough for the whole plane to hear. Gave me a brief for 1.5 hours, man. Is it true or not, Renu? Speak. And everybody used to laugh. Bichara Boman. Bichara Boman, Bichara Boman. So all my youth, I'm saying something's wrong with me. I used to get 6 and 7 marks.
So what did she do? She sent you to watch movies.
Every day.
Movies after movies.
Yeah.
So tell us about that. That's so unconventional. That's so disruptive. So,
Absolutely
imagine a
right.
school child, instead of going to school, go and watch movies every day.
After school.
Oh, after school.
After school. They would relax. I said, for what? For my next movie? मेरी अगली पिक्चर के लिए, मेरी अगली कहानी के लिए. I said, what's your next picture? What's your next कहानी? मेरे पास एक गुंडा है. वो डॉक्टर बनना चाहता है. I said, sounds ridiculous, right? अच्छा, मेरा रोल क्या है? तू डॉक्टर है. That's it. I enjoy my fame, by the way. I really do. I really do. But when it comes to work, you got to behave yourself. Focus on the job.
Requesting Dr. Renuka to please join Mr. Boman Irani on stage as we look forward to an exciting conversation.
My guest, Boman Irani, needs absolutely no introduction, and it is absolutely my honor today to be in conversation with him. He's promised me that we're going to have a lot of fun.
I never promise anything.
Okay. So we're going to start with a serious note, Boman. You lost your father, I think 6 months before you were born. And you were raised in a family surrounded by women. And when you were a child, you were shy, you were dyslexic, and you were scared. And, how was that? How was a person like Boman Irani? I cannot compare him to this child who was dyslexic, scared, and shy. Tell us about your childhood.
I have a recommendation, if you don't mind. Can we stand up and do this? Yeah, better. Little energy. So, we were talking about my dyslexia and my childhood. All right, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, thank you very much for having me here. She said, I don't need any introduction. That's not fair, simply because she didn't even mention my name. Paloma didn't mention my name. Did she mention my name? Does everybody in the room knows who I am, what I do? No, it doesn't. Everybody knows. I don't believe you guys. I don't believe you guys. I just want to make one thing very clear. I don't like to assume anything that everybody should know what I do. We're in Chennai after all. Nobody got that joke. Never mind. The point I'm trying to make is that I don't believe in assumptions. I'll just start off on a lighter note. You started off, your father died. I just said, let's make it a little lighter. I was on a flight once and, early in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and one guy from the aero bridge, you could hear his voice coming out, loudly talking so rudely. It was so obnoxious, Renu. And he spotted me as he entered the plane. There's silence in the morning on a flight, right? And he spotted me and got very excited. Oh! He said, my favorite actor, my favorite, dunya ka sabse favorite. And I said, okay, fine, I'm his favorite actor. And then he got breathless after a while and he had no words were coming out of his mouth. He was breathing heavily. So he came all the way up to me. He bent all the way down, spoke in my ear, but loud enough for the whole plane to hear. Guess what he said? I'm his favorite actor. But guess what he said? In the whole world, he said, I'm his favorite actor. लेकिन आपका नाम क्या है भाई साहब? I delivered that line in Hindi and everybody got it. I must say, that's great, Chennai. You're with me tonight. Yeah, lovely. Thank you so much. Yeah. So I just don't assume anything, Renu. I have to tell everybody, in case you don't know, my name is Boman Irani. I'm an actor. Nice to be here, everybody. Back to the question. Renu, we're going to have a lot of fun today, okay?
Boman, do a TED talk.
Yes.
You're chasing me out of the stage.
She gave me a brief for 1.5 hours, man. About Radiant and this. I couldn't understand half of what she was saying because I don't understand. I'm dyslexic, as you know. And she was talking about we do this and Radiant this and this. मुझे मेरा इतना अक्कल नहीं है रेनू. मेरा इतना अक्कल नहीं. And then finally she got through everybody off the Zoom call. I want to talk to you alone. And I was wondering what the hell she wanted to say. And she said, I want to ask you one question. What's Shah Rukh Khan like? See, that's what she wanted to know. Is it true or not, Renu?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, let's get on with it.
You're going to introduce me to him soon.
I will do that.
There's
I will do that.
300 plus and the online viewers witnessing to what you said today.
All right. Let's go, Renu. Let's start with my father passing away. Okay. Soon after, a little joke to keep it light. Now, let's talk about my father passing away. Yeah, he passed away in December 1959. I'm not good with numbers. Right. Radiant knows.
No, you were born in December 1959.
I was born in December 1959. See, numbers I get wrong. Dyslexia. All the time, I crisscross. And my father passed away in May 1959. So I was born, as you very correctly said, in a family full of women. 3 sisters, mother, and 28 masis, chachis, kakis. Then they just wouldn't stop coming in and out of the house. And I was protected, mollycoddled, and I was a very, very scared and nervous child because I had a speech defect. I should speak with my tongue sticking out like virus. And speak. And everybody used to laugh. And you can laugh now also, not a problem, because I've overcome that fear. Because every time I spoke, people would laugh. So I said, something's wrong with me. On top of it, guess what my nickname was? Not nickname, it was just an epithet. Bichara Boman. Bichara Boman, Bichara Boman. So all my youth, I'm saying something's wrong with me. Why are they calling me Bichara Boman as if there's something really wrong with me? So I had this anxiety which was horrifying. Unable to speak in front of everyone sitting in a room. I stammer. I still stammer once in a while. I cover it up very well. Dr. Ne, how are you doing? Yeah. Give a big hand. Come on, everybody. Give him a big hand. It's so wonderful. We meet at airports. It's the first time we're meeting under the same roof. Yeah. And it became so much of a problem that people really thought I needed to be pulled out of St. Mary's School. I don't know how I got admission. I couldn't answer in the entrance exam. Father Molinet kept showing me photographs of animals with S in it, so I would just stick out my tongue and say it, so I didn't open my mouth. If there was a horse, I would have it do the horse. So I didn't open my mouth. And he didn't give me admission. And then he calls up my mom and says, you know what, he's a very anxious child. You send him to St. Mary's School, and he gave me admission. I think that gave me a lot of confidence. When people have faith in you, don't judge a book by its cover. That's what I have to say. One fine day, Renu, I was this high, and I'll be using the stage. I love stage, okay? I was in the choir, and I'll go there. I'm standing in the choir, little kid with rouge, lipstick, big red bow, standing and singing like that. My mommy's sitting somewhere there. No, not you, Ma. My mommy's sitting over there, and she's smiling away. She's smiling away. And I'm asking myself, why is mommy smiling, beaming from year to year? And then after the annual day function was over, in the taxi, she tells me, I ask her, Mom, why were you smiling? She's saying, for the first time in your life, son, you were smiling. I said, why? I don't smile. She's saying, no, son, you don't smile. And I think it really hit me that it bothered her so much. It bothered her so much that her son was an unhappy kid. Now, why is he unhappy? I don't know if I was unhappy. He was just anxious. But she figured out something, Renu. She realized I liked the stage. And I had no inhibitions on the stage. So to me, standing on stage makes me a tiger, honestly. I come on stage, I use the stage. That's why I wanted to stand. Yeah. It's wooden. The lights are beautiful. The sound is beautiful, and I love an audience. And she immediately understood this kid needs to be put in places where he's happy, find his nursery, rather than push him to do maths, which I used to get 6 and 7 marks. I couldn't understand. Numbers just drain out of my head like a sieve. They just fall out of my brain. I don't remember my room number. I promise you I don't remember my room number. This is a serious form of dyslexia called dyscalculia. I mean, numbers just fall through your head. We come to know about it now. Otherwise, back in the day, the scientific term for that was duffer. I'm not joking. Duffer hai, bichara Boman. Duffer hai. I mean, come on, man. Give the kid a break. I don't remember my room number. Sometimes I go to the wrong room. Sometimes on purpose. But we'll talk about that later. But good crowd. They like the naughty jokes. Good crowd.
Can I ask my second question?
Please. She's fed up of my long answers. Yeah.
Okay, so we talk about your mother.
Right.
And she realized you were academically a little challenged.
Right.
So what did she do? She sent you to watch movies.
Every day.
Movies after movies.
Yeah.
So tell us about that. That's so unconventional. That's so disruptive. So, imagine
Absolutely
a
right.
school child, instead of going to school, go and watch movies every day.
After school.
Oh, after school.
After school. They would sometime during school, but I'm still afraid to admit it in case they give me a pink card or something. But we had a cinema hall which was right across our home. Literally where those cameras are was the Alexander Cinema. And she would ask me every day, what's running at the Alexander? I would tell her, Ben-Hur or Pyasa. I said, go and watch it again. Have you seen Ben-Hur? Yes. Amazing. And she would say, go. I said, why again? Saying, no, understand it for different aspects of cinema. You seem to understand story, she told me. And she's telling a little kid, and I was literally, as far as cinema was concerned, understanding story. I was like a prodigy. But other stuff, duffer. That, pretty good. And she was sitting at the shop one day. She was a shopkeeper. We had dukandars, as they call them. And it was hot. And I was sitting there on her lap, and a family friend would visit. It was an old man called Farooq uncle. Yeah? And he would ask about, how's it going? Have you repaid your debt? My father had left behind a lot of debt because of medicine and his hospital bills, and because of neglect, the shop had gone into deep debt. But she was a 31-year-old widow with 4 little kids. I was not on the way. It must have been so difficult for her. Anyway, she still sent me to the movies. But Farooq uncle asked, so Jaru, what's running at the Novelty? Now, this is our dukan. A Novelty Cinema, our bhatti wall where we used to fry the wafers, was the back wall, the screen wall of the Novelty Cinema. You stuck your ear, you could hear the vibration, sometimes even the loud dialogues. And I shouted out, El Cid. El Cid? I said, yeah. He said, you've watched it? I said many times. Over and over again, because Mama used to send me every day, go and understand music, go and understand. Okay. So my mom asks Farooq uncle, would you want to see the movie, watch the movie? He said, I would love to. I think Boman will take you. Oh, how old is Boman? So I took an 80-year-old man, I held his hand and took him to watch El Cid at the Novelty Cinema. And while the movie's going on, I'm doing running commentary in his ear as the movie's going on. And now this is happening. Now that is happening. Now El Cid has died, but the army, his people, can't be told that he's dead. They've broken the arrow from his chest. They've strapped him to the horse. They've whacked the horse on its backside. And El Cid runs through his troops and leads his army to victory, even though he's dead. That's his last sacrifice and leadership. And Farooq uncle is crying, and I'm crying. Now, why am I telling you this story, my friends? Farooq uncle was blind. Farud uncle was blind, and my mother thought it fit for an 11-year-old kid to take a blind man to watch a movie and empower him and trust him to tell a story. That day on, I got the confidence that I needed, that I am not Bichara Boman anymore. My stammering and stuttering and lisping, because you sent me for speech therapy too, and the lisping went, it just made me feel confident. And who gives a damn anymore what people laugh at you or mock you? You just got to be happy within yourself. And from that day on, I became more and more confident, thanks to this wonderful lady that I knew till 3 years ago, Boman Irani, my mother.
So, Boman, at that point of time, now we're talking of probably late 70s, early 80s. I mean,
all
when
right.
you were in your teens and everyone thinking seriously about their career.
Right.
It was either become a doctor or an engineer, or get a government job, or, become an architect, or, get to become an agriculturist. But then you decided to enroll in a waiter course.
Right.
And did a course in waiter and joined Taj in the hope of getting a job at the Rendezvous.
Right.
Tell us about that.
So I thought that would be the easiest. I spoke to a couple of guys who were getting tips and whatnot. I said, yeah, I'll make some money. I'll feel good about myself. So I went to my granny, my dadi, who was a refugee. She came from Iran with my grandfather. They rode across the desert from her little town in Iran, Nasrabad, to Kurumshah on a donkey. This is not a story from the Bible. I met these people. I'm telling you, I've met these people, and then they caught a sailboat from the port, and they stayed the night over in a tent. Reminds you of something. Go ahead. And they came to India with a little baby who was dying. Think about it. And why am I telling you all this? Because we find ways and means of being unhappy. I think we like to work ourselves into a frenzy about everything. We're writing monologues in our head of why the service wasn't good. And you land at the airport and people ask you, how was the flight? How was the flight? It was business class, for God's sake. My grandmother came on a bloody donkey. Yeah? Think about it, fellas. They come, how's your room? It's a suite. Thank you very much. Of course, the Davids, thank you very much. Put me up in a nice, beautiful, in the Taj Hotel. And I'm saying, why are we grumbling? And I think grumbling has got a lot to do with unwellness as far as I'm concerned. And my grandmother said, yeah, you want to be a waiter, go and be the waiter. Your grandfather started off as a table boy. But be the very best goddamn waiter in the world, don't even try. I think that's some good advice. I went to the Taj. She told me 2 more things. Associate with good people and go for the best. I think that's great. So I went to the best, Taj. Normally, yeah, I'm coming that side. Normally when I do it at in other hotels, they all say, all the guys standing by the door, Taj bola, hum log best nahi, are Marriott bahut baad mein aaya baba, aaram karo. And for me, this, Renu, became a very important moment in my life. When I went for my first interview, there was a Parsi gentleman called Sam Bhada who did the interview. Parsis, everybody here knows who a Parsi is? Please say yes. Okay. There are no Parsis in the room? Of course not. There are only 67 Parsis left on the whole planet. Dying community. Although, anyway, we've got no time. Otherwise, I can go on yapping about the Parsis. Anyway, so I go for this interview, Renu. I'm standing over there and I practiced the whole night what to say. And I worked on a nice voice and a nice accent. And he asked me this question. So, which department do you want to join? Food and beverage. The first thing he told me, hey, idiot, drop the bloody accent. Food and beverage, sir, seedha line pe aa gaya. See, but the thing is, in every single funny thing that happens in my life, there is a takeaway. And my takeaway is basically what Sam Bhada was saying was be yourself. Don't impress people by the way you speak. Impress them by your actions, right? So I said, food and beverage, and you've done your research so beautifully, saying, quickly tell me, which department? So I said, food and beverage. The whole hotel bloody business is about food and beverage. Which department? I said, sir, I want to join the rendezvous. Ah, that's something. There's a word that I learned that day from Sambada. It's a word that I had never heard before, the importance of that word. Even Mr. Shashi Tharoor, who was here earlier, doesn't know that word. It's in English. Is he in the room? Sorry, Shashi. And that word for me is important even today when I teach script writing, or I act, or I direct, or I do anything in this world. That word is very important to me, and that word was, he said, you know what? You want something. I said, great. What do you mean by that? He's saying, if you don't have a want and you don't have a goal, and the more insurmountable the want, your story is not worth telling. You must want something, and you want to get to the rendezvous. I said, yes, sir. He said, great. You want to start now? I said, right away, sir. He said, great. Go to the basement. I said, but the rendezvous is on the rooftop. I said, go to the basement, you idiot. So, I said, what the hell is going? He's saying, you think I'm going to send you up directly? He taught me a very simple concept. You've got to pay your dues. There are no magics in silver bullets. You've got to pay your dues. And I went to the basement, and the moment I came out of the basement door, somebody gave me a squirt gun. And I started washing plates, I started folding linen, I worked in room service, and finally I did reach the rendezvous. That's the little story of my first job, yeah. Carrying trays. I had got an extra muscle over here. The trays used to be so heavy. There's a muscle that grew over here. And I'm proud of it. And made a lot of money on tips, by the way.
So then you decided that you had another hidden talent, and that was photography. And you
Right.
decided to become a photographer.
Right.
How did that happen?
So my mother met with an accident. She said, you'll have to sit at the shop. So I became a shopkeeper. For 14 years, actually, I became a shopkeeper. And that's where I met my wife. And we don't have time. I would have told you a lot of stories about my wife. But I had never taken my family out for a holiday in 7 years of marriage. And I broke the piggy bank I'd made at Taj. I bought myself a very basic camera, and I started doing sports photography at school events, hockey, cricket, cycling, football, you name it, athletics, long jump, high jump. And I would sell pictures for 20 rupees a piece, collected some money, went to Ooty for a holiday. And I went to Ooty, we went by train, and then the ST bus, and then in the rickshaw, we reached this hotel I had done in the old style, Yellow Pages booking, a hotel called Shoreham Palace. I said, Palace sounds good. I went over there, and we were standing in front of this hotel, holding our hands and the bags and whatnot. And my wife is looking at me because it looked like a poster from a horror film, you know. And I'm saying, good God, what have I gone and done? My wife is looking at me, and she, when she's upset, words don't come out, only the eyes. So I said, no, it's a heritage hotel, you know, outside they can't touch it, you know, let's go inside. Inside it was even bloody worse. We went inside, and those big doors with louvers, you know, the old with the tea cuddy, you know, and the sound effect was also like a Ramsay horror picture, you know, where the door also opened with the sound. And we went inside, it was pitch dark, pitch dark. And I asked the guy, turn on the light. One guy went slowly, looking at me, why do you want a light? It was pitch dark. He turned on one light. And one light came on. It was still pitch dark. I'm looking around and saying, there's one light, and it's still pitch dark. How? It was a 0-watt bulb. And I'm saying to myself, that's me. And sometimes in your life, when you're really down in the dumps, you have to realize that you are the architect of your own misery. You didn't work hard enough to give your family a basic holiday, let alone a presidential one. And that bulb is what you deserve. Don't blame the hotel. You chose the hotel. You could not do a worse job. And I decided from that day on, you got to kick yourself and keep having wants. #want, like I told you about Mr. Shashi Tharoor. Just keep wanting. They say in a screenplay, in a structure of a screenplay, in a story, there is one big insurmountable goal that the hero reaches out for. I think all of us know somewhere within us that this is what I want to do in life, right? But to get there, there are about 22 small little goals you got to crack. I'm not joking. It comes down to numbers, and I remember this number. So the next goal is to basically, what are we in this room for? What are we working hard for? For family. I think so. And it just became so important to me that I came and said, let's up the game. Something what the tagline of what the young lady Paloma introduced. Fall, go, rise, get up, fall, go, rise, get up, move. And I started doing, I wanted a bigger event. So I did the World Cup of Boxing. And I went for the job. And the gentleman didn't give me the job. I showed him my photographs, Renu. And he looked at the photographs. I'm supposed to call you Dr. Renu, no? You only told me call me Renu, no? Yeah. Say Dr. Renu. These are my subsequent questions. Yeah. All right. Oh, I'm eating into her time. No. But I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'm pulling your leg. You're pulling my leg too. Yeah, that's good. I'm a big yap, man. Renu, what can I say? I don't get a chance to talk at home, so I come and talk because it's the stage. Come on, man. Nene, you have the same problem like me? Kinda, yeah. So anyway, can I continue? Sorry. So I'm standing there and he looks at all the pictures. Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. This Mr. Aspi Adajania. Wonderful, lovely picture, lovely picture. I say, and then we call it a reversal in screenwriting. Just the opposite happens. We don't need you. I say, why? Oh, we don't need you. I said, why? He's saying, you're that wafer wala. I said, bloody racist son of a gun, I have said. Saying, yeah. Saying, what do you know about potatoes? Can you imagine? I've come for an international Olympic level event. And he is saying, you're a wafer wala, where do you buy your potatoes? Can you imagine? So what do you know about potatoes? I said, buy my potatoes at the onion and potato market in New Bombay. He said, okay, what do you know about potatoes? I said, everything. He said, tell me. I said, I can stick my thumb into a potato and tell you after how many days you should fry it, which area in India it comes from. This is Hassan, Metupalam, Navsari, Kota, whatever the area. He's saying, you're an expert on potatoes. He's saying, wow, I'm impressed. What else is available in that market? I said, I'm fed up. I said, onions and potatoes. What do you know about onions? This is the madness going on in that interview. What do you know about onions? I said, nothing. He said, exactly. He got me there. He said, there are photographs in your portfolio of cricket, hockey, long jump, high jump, cycle races, football, rugby, everything. There's not one goddamn photograph on boxing. And there's a saying in English, he said. It's so strange and ironic that it comes up right now. There's a saying in English which says, know your bloody onions. Can you imagine? I'm standing there thinking, what the hell is happening to me, man? And he says, you know what? You could be a damn good photographer, but if you change your department, or every single time I get a character, if I know everything about that character, I don't know my onions. You know what I'm saying? I have to work on something every single time. When I want to be a director, I had to start from scratch. I want to be a writer, I have to start from scratch. And he taught me that very important lesson. It took me 7 days in a very dingy little place with one bulb where there was a boxing tournament going on. Again, mere naseeb mein one bulb hi hota hai. To take pictures. And I almost walked out of that place, Dr. Renu. Because how am I going to take international looking pictures where there's one dirty, dingy, with thin boxers, you know. And I was about to walk out and then I said, that's your resource. If you turn your back on it, you got nothing. But if you do your best to squeeze that rubber band as much as you can squeeze it to get the best out of the resource that is available to you, then you have half a chance. And it took me 7 days. And I came back and I showed him the pictures. And then a reversal happened. He took the pictures and put them in the drawer and he just shut the drawer. I said, what the hell, man? He took out an envelope and gave me an envelope. I opened it and said, you have been appointed official photographer for the World Cup. I said, what? And then the question that you might ask me that I should have asked him, I did. I'm smarter than I look. Is this? I said, but sir, you haven't even seen the pictures. He's saying, I didn't have to. I just wanted to know how badly you wanted this job. And sometimes in life, that's all that it takes to see hunger. He said, I saw it in your eyes, Boman. You were going to come back with good pictures. And that, again, in all my experiences of what I've lived through, all I have are takeaways and experiences that I stand by even today and remind myself even today.
Awesome, awesome. So you became the best photographer, your name and fame spread, and Mr. Shamak Dhawan walks into your office
Right.
wanting to do a portfolio, and you charm him with your personality, the way you're charming my audience, and
Is that true? Lenny, is that true? You're doing good, yeah.
and then what happens? He takes you for an audition for theater.
He does, yes. Before Shamak walked into my studio, I went through hell. That was my all is lost moment, as they say in screenplay. That was my all is lost moment. I had put all the money I made out of that boxing thing, and I made a lot of money. The company that I sold 3 pictures to kept sending me money every time they printed the pictures in Europe. A magazine called Vigi. And I'm saying, what the hell's going on? And I was expecting $100 a picture because that's what I was told I would get. But they gave me $300 a picture. And every time they would reprint the pictures, they would keep sending me $900. And I'm saying, something's crazy over here. And I started a studio, I took a loan, and nobody entered my studio. It was like the pandemic all over again. Nobody entered, nobody left. It was like a lockdown, all right? And my wife tells me, come here. I said, what happened? She came and gave me a blue velvet box, handed it over to me. I opened it, and it was a wedding jewelry. I said, sell it. I said, what for? I said, just pay up that loan. I was paying interest upon interest on that. And I said, don't do this to me. And of course, being an emotional fool, I think it helps me with my wellness. When you feel like crying, you should cry. That's a good piece of advice, especially men, don't hold it in. And I started crying. She's saying, first of all, where are we going? Where am I going to use this jewelry? And secondly, if I wear this jewelry, you think this jewelry is going to make me look pretty. You're wrong. Look at your face. This, for me, in a conclave that speaks of wellness, for me, it is the biggest lesson that I may have learned from my wife, another very important woman, lady in my life. She said, look at your face. I said, what's wrong? She said, your mouth has gone this way. You make people laugh even in the most trying and sad circumstances. Father died, we were cracking jokes, right? And that's not you. That's not you. You've got to chase your dreams and your wants. You have to chase your wants. Otherwise, you'll be living like this for the rest of your life, and so will I. Can't fail if you must. It's all right. But don't say, I didn't give it my all. And here I am to support you. And make people laugh, she said. You're good at that. Don't change your personality. Make people laugh and smile. And when you smile, I'll smile. And when I smile, I might look pretty. I'm telling you, these are important things. You have to surround yourself with people who make you feel they're in your corner. And I tell you, the people who are in your corner will only be in your corner if your want and desire and passions are strong. Not ideas. But you got to get on your hands and knees to chase your dreams. And she saw it. And believe me, I paid off part of that loan. And the next day, Shamak Davar walks into Sushmita Sen comes to town after winning Miss Universe. And somebody says, we need a photographer. Go run. So I go and take a picture. And then the next thing I get was the contract to shoot all the Miss Indias of that year. And Diana Hayden wins Miss World. I had made a portfolio and she became Miss World. I became Mr. India and things changed. But if you didn't have that leap of faith, this would not have happened. And then Shamak came. Shamak took pictures. And then he took me for lunch. Also, he said, instead he took me for an audition. I said, what for? He's saying, you have to audition. I said, for what? You're an actor. I said, no, I'm not. He's saying, don't lie. Don't lie to me, don't lie to yourself. Because whatever you want and you desire, you can't hide it for long. It comes back for you. It'll chase you as long as you desire. Say, no, and I auditioned for Alec Padamsi. But he gave me a 3-minute role in a play called Roshni. A 3-minute role. And you, please, just to hide the embarrassment of the character of the role, do applaud when I tell you what the character was, okay? No kids around, right? The first role I ever got was that of a pimp. And everybody said, don't do it. 3-minute role you should do. And I said, no, there are no small parts, they're only small actors. Also, yeah, they're only small actors. And I rehearsed. Just like Bruce Lee said, I don't fear the man who has 1,000 kicks. I fear the man who has one kick, but practices it 1,000 times. And I practiced. And I can't tell you how ready I was when I came onto the stage. And something beautiful happened that day. My mom was sitting in the audience, right there. And she knew that I was meant to come on stage someday. She knew it then. I came on stage and I gave the performance of my life. And for me, it was for her. It was for her. She would go into the bathroom and ask all the other Parsi aunties, how was my son? Who's your son? The pimp. He's my son. That's a sweet Parsi mom, right? So that's how I got into acting in the theater.
And then Vinod Chopra, he saw that part and
No,
or-
he didn't.
Okay.
I'll tell you that story.
Huh.
Can I tell you that story? Have we gone overtime already yet?
No, you could tell. I think my audience are loving his story. Are you all loving his story? Yes. They don't want you to stop.
I knew they were loving it. I just wanted to make it. Stop the bloody clock. So I did a few plays, and then I did a movie called Let's Talk. Have you heard of it? No. Most of you have never heard of it. Ram Madhwani wanted to make a movie in 7 days, which we wrote together, rehearsed, wrote again, rehearsed. It went on for a year and a half, okay? And we shot it on a handycam, which is, the polite word would be digital. It was not even close to it, quality-wise. Your iPhone is 10,000 times better than what we shot it on. Back in the day, this 25 years ago. And we shot it in 7 days, and God was getting edited, and I asked Ram, when are we releasing the film? He said, we were never going to release the film. I said, why? So then why did we still have time. I could have cracked some Parsi jokes, man. Anyway. So I said, then why did we make this film? And why are we so serious about this film? He said, because our names are in the credits, Boman. Someday someone will watch it, and our names are out there. You put your name on something, it better be the best shot that you give it. We premiered it in his house. 11 of us watched it and gave rave reviews and a standing ovation. But what happened was, while the movie was being edited, another producer was editing his film. And on this machine, Let's Talk was being edited. He comes over here, ye kaun si gandi picture hai? You understand Hindi little, no? I'll give subtitles. What's this rotten looking movie? Saying, who is this guy? Saying, Boman Irani. Parsi hai? Haan. Hindi. He speaks Hindi. Well, we don't know. Send him to me. I go to his house and he gives me 2 lakhs. 2 lakhs. I said, for what? For my next movie. मेरी अगली पिक्चर के लिए, मेरी अगली कहानी के लिए. I said, what's your next picture? What's your next कहानी? मेरे पास कहानी ही नहीं है. I don't have a movie. I said, ये फिल्मी लोग थोड़े. I said, then why are you paying me? Why are you paying me if you don't have a story? He says, because when I do get a story and I come to you for dates, don't you dare tell me you don't have dates. I said, me? He says, yeah. Wow. I was so kicked by that, But guess what? That producer disappeared. He just disappeared for about 7 to 8 months. And then he calls me up one day and he says, hey, yara, kahani mil gayi, got the story, got wonderful kahani, amazing kahani. I said, kahani ka naam kya hai? He said, Munna Bhai MBBS. You see, the point I'm trying to make here is, had we not worked hard on Let's Talk and thought of it as small, like we sometimes consider some clients small, or some accounts small, or some human being small, you pay the price. We worked so hard on Let's Talk that man wanted to work with me. First of all, I hated the title. Munna Bhai MBBS sounds horrible. Think about it. I said, sir, what's the story? Kahani kya hai? Arey, kahani kamal ki kahani hai. Kamal ki kahani hai. I said, kahani kya hai? Ek gunda hai. वो डॉक्टर बनना चाहता है. I said, sounds ridiculous, right? अच्छा, मेरा रोल क्या है? तू डॉक्टर है. तू डॉक्टर है. और मेरा कैरेक्टर क्या है? What's my character? तू पूरे पिक्चर में हंसेगा. I'm saying to myself, this is the worst title, the worst one-liner I've heard, and the worst character I've ever heard. He's saying, मेरे को समझ में नहीं आएगा यार, तुम लोग सब ये method actor है, तुम लोग पागल है. तुम जाओ and meet my assistant. I said, now I got to meet an assistant. You're not making the movie. This is Vidhu Vinod Chopra, the guy who made 12th Fail. I mean, bless him, man. He obviously saw something. No, you got to do it. You got to do it. He's got a little Americanized accent. You got to do it. Go and meet Raju. You got to meet Raju. And I said, who is this Raju now? I meet Raju there, this thin guy is pulling his shirt. I said, this guy's going to make a movie, man. And he's polite and he's genial and charming and kind and loving. And he told me the story of Munna Bhai MBBS. And I said, man, that's a story. And I always tell people, make your character, and when I teach in class, your character should reach out for an insurmountable goal. An insurmountable goal. A gunda wants to be a doctor. Think about it. It sounds ridiculous. But he wanted to be, and even if you fail, it doesn't matter. Because he didn't become a doctor. He just wanted to redeem himself or his father's pagadi. You've heard of a film called Ratatouille. A rat can't enter the blooming kitchen. You give a whack on the head, or you poison it, or you put in a rat trap and throw it in the bloody gutter, right? But this rat not only wants to go into the kitchen, the rat wants to be a chef. That's insurmountable. I tell youngsters, may all your goals be insurmountable, and you can fall 500 times and may not reach the goal, but we will be rooting for you. That's what our lives should be all about.
Boman, hearing your story, life's journey had taught you to become resilient, strong, powerful, that shy, timid, dyslexic child suddenly has grown into this fearless adult. But at any point of time during this journey, especially when you had to do Munna Bhai MBBS,
Right.
were there any self-doubts in your mind?
There are self-doubts when I'm unprepared. If you do the Bruce Lee thing, if you keep doing it and make it part of your DNA, you feel strong. You really do. You feel strong. You can't. I mean, then if I fail, then it's fine. But you've got to be prepared. And in this day and age, we sometimes don't have time. But you've got to find the time to prepare. Learn, basically, try and make the character unique. Nobody's seen this guy before. I play that guy. Make him subvert, disrupt. Yeah. And make him unique and be prepared and prepare so much. And this might sound like an oxymoron. Prepare so much that it becomes spontaneous. That's the achievement. That's the achievement of an actor if he wants to really go out there and put his best foot forward.
And Boman, today you are a household name. Everyone knows you, and we're very happy that from such humble beginnings, today you have risen to become such a big star in India, and I'm sure abroad too. What role now that you're flying high, and at times you feel that you're right out there? What role does your family play to keep you grounded and humble?
The biggest role, because I don't think they tolerate me. I don't think they'll handle it. My friends won't tolerate me. And I'll tell you, let me tell you very frankly, and you might know, fame is like opium. You get hit by it, whether you like it or not. It's going to hit you. And, sometimes you might have one drink too many at a party. You'll stumble, but you know that what you're supposed to do. So fame is like that, continuously people asking you, how are you doing? What you want? What about your clothes? What about your food? What about this? You're asking me questions about, you're reminding me that you're a household name. Yeah. But my family, especially Zenobia, she just scuttles it in a second. If I think of fame or going up the ladder, I try and make an analogy with the clothes you wear. It's like when you're wearing pajamas, you walk in a certain different demeanor, right? And a different body language. You're wearing jeans, you're walking like this. And especially guys, when they wear their first suit, you seen them, you know this guy's wearing the suit for the first time. Because it's like he's got something stuck up his, behind. And he walks with his bag and he walks. You see how it changes. How your attitude changes simply by the clothes you wear. So can you imagine how your attitude would change with fame and money and interviews and whatnot and people and screaming out and whatnot? They don't scream out at me. But the point I'm trying to make is that in anything, whether you're in the medical business, you're a doctor, time's up. In anything, in anything you do, there is stardom. In anything you do, in the airline business, in the business, everybody's a star in the hierarchy of that organization. And you will feel that opium of fame. You've got to control it because what you're doing is you're taking the eye off the ball. What is it that made you go up that ladder of success? The hunger that you had back then. And the day you lose your hunger, because you've taken your eye off the ball and you're distracted by the perks of the job become more important than the job itself. And that is devastating because you stop wanting to do better. And fame is not a good thing in that sense. I enjoy fame, by the way. I really do. But when it comes to work, you got to behave yourself. Focus on the job, not the perks.
Boman, I have just two more questions. Today at 65, if you had to tell...
Why did you have to tell them my age?
आपने बोला ना December 59 you were born. Do your maths.
Say again, sorry, I didn't.
You said December 59 you were born.
I know. I'm pulling your leg.
So what would you tell your 30-year-old today at 65?
Well, if you made mistakes, don't try and rectify them. Make them over and over again, because otherwise there's no point in having a near perfect life. Why will I go and tell the guy, listen, don't worry, don't fall. Eventually eventually, it's what I tell my sons, when they were, I don't need to tell you how to conduct. You just have to be ethical, compassionate, and just loving. You teach them love. I mean, you can't teach love, but if you show love and one more thing which really gets my goat is people treat people beneath their station differently from others. I feel that. So that's all. You just got to teach your kids that. Baki sab ho jayega. Baki sab ho jayega. Mistakes are important. That's what I'm trying to say. We don't rectify.
Mistakes should happen.
Have to happen.
Have to fall. Boman, when these lights go off, the curtains come down and the applause fades, what do you want to be remembered for? What's going to be your legacy?
I'm too young to talk about legacy and all. What legacy? See, it's true. I spoke about want, but there's another thing we teach in screenwriting. And screenwriting has got a lot to do with your own life. There's something called a want, and there's something called a need. If you achieve what you wanted to achieve, which is the external goal, and say your external goal could range from winning an Oscar to winning the World Cup or climbing Mount Everest or getting the girl or becoming a billionaire, whatever. You've achieved it. Your want is complete. What is it that you need to do? You've got to be worthy of that want. And that's an internal goal, which we somehow ignore in the pursuit of the external goal. And the internal goal could be anything from being slightly better human being, a more polite human being, a more helpful human being. And I think those needs are what we forget, and that happens in the third act. So it's very important. And you use the word legacy, which I find very heavy for me too. But what you need to do is be grateful. And whatever failings that you may have had as a younger person, you've got to rectify those from time to time and be worthy of your goal, your achievement, your fame, whatever. So sometimes at a certain point in your career, you might say, I've come to a certain stage, I don't know, I need to go work much harder. But if I've reached a point where you feel you have to come back and help people bring the elevator down to the ground floor and help people on the way up. And that's, for me, is a great need for me to mentor. And I'd like to be, if at all remembered, I'd like to be remembered for somebody who mentored thousands of people in a non-profit organization where I've been teaching screenplay writing for people who are lost, who don't know how to start. They have a story idea, they don't know to take it forward. So I do that. It's called Spiral Bound. I can plug it over here because it's not a money-making enterprise. It's completely free, and I've completed 815 sessions teaching youngsters, and I'm proud of that.
Awesome. There were a set of rapid fires, but I'm going to skip that. Guess why? Because I don't know how many of you know that Boman is a singer.
Little louder. Little louder. My voice also louder. Hello. And now the end is near, so I face the final curtain. My friends, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full, I've traveled each and every highway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what what I had to do and saw it through without exemption. I've planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. But through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it all, spit it out. I faced them all, and I stood tall and did it my way. I've loved, I've laughed, I've cried, I've had my fill, my share of losing, and now, as my tears subside, I find it all so amusing to think I did all that, and may I say, not in a shy way. Oh no, not me. Sing with me. I did it my way. For what is a man? What is he got? If not himself, then he is not. To say the things he truly feels. In other words, one who kneels. The record shows I took the blows and did it my way. The record shows I took the blows and did it my way. And always a guy who gets up and says, "We love you." Yeah. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It was wonderful. Just one last thing before I go. I just want to say, last year, not last year, a few years ago, I was in New York. And I entered the hotel. They gave you flowers. You know, you feel so nice and I feel embarrassed at the same time. And I took those flowers and I couldn't accept them. It was the Lexington Hotel in New York. I took those flowers and gave it to the general manager and said, "Sir, I'd like you to have these flowers." He said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "You know what, Mr. Sam Bhada? You gave me my first job and my greatest lesson, paying your dues. Life has its beautiful way of coming a full circle, and I met him after so many years, the man who gave me my first job. Remember all the things people teach you. Do not feel embarrassed. Learn from your mistakes." Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. You were so wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Renu. Thank you so much. You were beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Irani. We absolutely enjoy that. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite Dr. Renu and Colonel David to please join me on stage and present Mr. Irani with a token of our appreciation, something special to commemorate this occasion.
Special. Acha lagta hai.